Today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. It seems we're soft all over the pitch. Good evening. Welcome to the Redfellas. Welcome to the main fellas, the Redfellas. Your Sunday night fix when it comes to Liverpool chat. There's no doubt about that. And to talk to me, and to talk to you, and to talk to us, I've got some familiar faces and a returning face as well. A face that we haven't seen in a little while. So I guess it's only fair we go to him first. Hi, Evan. Thanks for popping in.
I know. Hey, it feels good to be back. I hope you guys are gonna forgive my absence. And I did miss a lot. You know?
Forgive, yeah. We're a forgiving bunch. I'm not gonna lie. But the chat will let you know if they've forgiven you. There was a lot of clamor. Where's Evan? Like I couldn't even keep up with some of the messages. Like where's Evan? Where's Evan? And some people thought you've put in a transfer request or you're not agreeing the new deal that I've put out for you. You had a bit of you got a bit of you showed me your worth, and then you said, look, I want to be the highest paid member of the Redfellas. And you put your agent. You put your agent Avi out on Twitter, who gave me the laughing emojis, and so But nah, welcome back, man. We as people don't know what's happened now. What have you seen already?
No, we'll talk about it. It's just the last couple of comments. Diogo and Polly, shout out. Thanks, guys. Brilliant.
We obviously people won't know, Evan, but congratulations, new house, new move, all settling in.
Yeah, all settling in new city. Made my way to the world famous Kazar pub in San Francisco for the last game. So yeah, it was nice to connect with some Liverpool fans down there. And if any of you are in California, you can find me there.
Nice. And of course we've got Mick Moran. Mick, how you doing, my friend? You good?
Yeah, all good. Nice one for inviting me on again. Feels like it's been a while for me, to be fair. So it's nice to jump back on again. So nice one for asking me.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a. I've been sort of, because I've got such a great squad of attack now. Just like I've got so many options.
Been benched.
Yeah. No, it's not about benched. I've got to keep you all fresh. This is the key to success. When I'm fighting on all fronts, I've got to keep you all fresh and motivated, and you all bring your own different skills. Just like our attack. So I've got to keep you all on your toes. And of course I've got Conroy. I guess Conroy is the Bobby Firmino of the crew.
Means I'll be getting shipped out soon.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. I didn't look at it like that. I was just gonna say, when Conroy is on, it's like everyone else around him, plays much better, because Conroy is the neutral to everyone kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't go extreme in either way. So of course,
no, I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate it. I have my moments. When I got called Conroy Walton, I kicked off a bit, but that's another thing.
We all do. Listen, this is a very important message. I mean, obviously, everyone in here is going to be subscribed because it's subscriber mode. But share, like, tell your people. Everyone knows I set off on this journey only in about October time. So to reach 10K before the end of the season was my objective, and I'm just over 500 away, and that's truly humbling. I'm not even gonna lie, it's absolutely truly humbling. So keep pushing. We keep chatting for you guys. We keep giving you content, and you keep pushing us, man. Just before we move on, shout out to our sponsors for tonight's show. As usual, Redfellas is sponsored by EliteMe.com, who are your go-tos for anything CBD. And on top of that, because you're tuned into GrizCon TV and the Redfellas in particular, if you go to the checkout at www.elitemE.com, type in LFC15, you will get 15% discount on anything you get. They have branched out. Not only do they do CBD oil, they haven't stopped there. They do the whole range. In fact, they brought out recently the latest flavors of your vapes. Now, everyone loves a vape. Even I've tried a vape, like at my grand old age, and I kind of like it. So if I like it, everyone's going to like it. I'm telling you that. usually I'm apprehensive a bit of these kind of things, but I don't know. Are you guys into vapes? Any of you guys into vapes?
I don't vape CBD oil, but I use sort of the topical cream like on my skin. I've had arthritis in this wrist for a long time, and for me, CBD is like a much more easygoing pain relief solution to anything I could get at the pharmacy. So
Check it out. Check it out. They've got something like that. I know Avi's used it, and Keith is the latest one who swears by it. When he comes up on holiday, he'll tell you guys, and he says it's just a brilliant product. But make sure you guys go and try support our sponsors because they support us, and as a result, we try to put on great content for you guys. So it's a win-win situation. Don't forget www.eliteme.com. Use the discount code, and you get a 15% discount. So, guys, lovely day out at Brighton. It was fantastic. Set off 7 o'clock in the morning. Woke up at 6, set off at 7. The atmosphere around the town was lovely. The most welcoming away ground you can think of. The weather was great. As I entered the stadium, because I haven't been to the Amex before, it was my first time to Brighton. Conor, I'll come to you first. It was the total opposite of Burnley. Now, what I mean by that, not only in terms of atmosphere, in terms of the playing surface, the weather, and the modernization of the ground, I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ground. But I was very, as soon as I saw the pitch, the surface, the weather, I felt comfortable about what we were about to see. Do you know what I mean? So I just thought, I was nervous because we had bigged up Potter and Brighton and everything. But when I got there, I just had this feeling of confidence surge through me. I thought this is an impeccable playing surface. It's a big pitch. They're going to try to play football. We're going to try to play football. We have better players. How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite nice. It was a sunny day as well, Grizz. I mean, don't usually get that often for Premier League kickoff, so that was quite lovely to see that. I get what you're saying, Grizz. For me, I still think, in general, I think Klopp rates Potter probably higher than any of our fans as well. Like, I rate him very highly, but even if you listen to the way pre and post match, he speaks about like Brighton are 4th highest for possession in the Premier League, which is kind of pretty incredible, to be honest. Like, it's not all about possession, but that is quite incredible. And in general, I feel like after the match, he always talks the praise about tactically how good they are. The thing with me is, I get that narrative a lot, and there's some teams, if we both turn up to battle, we've got the better players will win. I just always find there's certain teams in the league, especially Potter, who's done it in the past at Anfield and the Amex last season, that he can always put something in that we maybe don't expect, like the game at Anfield, and with Trossard playing the false 9. However, though, Grizz, as we discussed in the pre-match, we've seen that before. So I think that gave Klopp a reflection, right? We've played them a few times now. We've got a sample size of how we can go against them. So I was confident in that way. I thought we would win the game. But I think in general, I know we're going to speak about the game, how the game started, I wasn't shocked by that because I do think Brighton are actually tactically very good, to be honest.
Yeah, look, Evan, Conroy speaks about, I should say he, I'm saying he, like he's not even in front of me and he's not here and I don't know him. Do you know what I mean?
Could be referring to Klopp.
How rude of me. Sorry, Conroy. But Conroy speaks about sort of Klopp praising them, but also inside knowing and maintaining that he's got the better players. And if they think that we haven't learned, or Jurgen Klopp hasn't learned how to play them, they're in for a shock, right? So that always gives me confidence, because we mentioned that on the pre-match show as well, that if they think that they've mastered the way of playing against us, like how often do we speak about Team X is the kryptonite of Liverpool or Klopp, or Coach X is the kryptonite? There really isn't such a thing, right?
Yeah, and even though in the past few seasons or so, Brighton have sort of grown into our bogey team, they've taken over Crystal Palace's role in that respect. I would still argue every single time that the way Brighton approach to playing Liverpool is the ideal way I want people to play against Liverpool. I want people to press us. I want people to come out of their shell against us. The masterful way to play against Liverpool is something that Burnley might do. And, it was the exact opposite to Burnley in a lot of ways. And I'm glad you said that, Grizz. So, yeah, I think Klopp has a ton of respect for what Graham Potter has achieved out there, but he does know he has the better players. And I've said it on this channel before. I call Brighton an elite coach team without any elite players. And I think that is still what I see when I see Brighton play. But yeah, I have tons of respect for them, and I'm glad we sort of learned from our mistakes at Anfield, even though it was a bit of a different cast out there.
Yeah, look, Mick, after saying that and sort of admiring the surroundings and enjoying the weather and the seagulls sort of flying over the ground before kickoff, it was beautiful. The atmosphere was so lovely. You know, it seemed like a pre-season friendly vibe to it, almost, and a party atmosphere. Obviously we're us in the away ground, we're absolutely bouncing. They weren't really, because obviously they're coming off the back of 4 defeats in a row. But they started off really well, and suddenly there was a couple amongst us that started looking at each other and said, wow, they've kind of lulled us into this false sense of security that we're coming to a Brighton team decimated with well, not decimated, but a couple of injuries and out of form. But that first 10, 15 minutes, did you think, whoa, this game needs to slow down a bit?
Yeah, I think like the lads have just said, like, it's when we faced Brighton recently, it's always been a bit of a struggle, but I think we've started to get over that gradually. And I think that first 10, 15 minutes, I mean, I wasn't worried, but I did feel like that was going to be the time where we get our feet, get settled, see what they're going to do, see how they're going to set up. Because obviously, like Conroy mentioned, they've got like quite good technical players, but you don't actually know where they're going to fit into that system. So once you see where they're going to slot in, you can then adapt to that. But like you said, Grizz, like, they had a few chances. Mope had a good chance, and it was kind of like, bloody hell, let's settle down here and let's get our foot on the ball, pass it about a bit. But yeah, I think it kind of went as I expected it to. I didn't expect us to come out all guns blazing, and I think it's kind of that's what we do now under Klopp. We kind of see how it goes, first 10, 15, 20, feel the other team out, kind of get a gauge for it, and then we can kind of counter balance that in a way and see how we're going to set up and where we can direct our strengths. And that was obviously Luis Diaz turned out to be the main outlet, which I didn't expect. I thought Lamptey would be quite a difficult opposition fullback for him, but he made him look shit, to be honest. And that's some going from someone who's just came to the league and into a new country and whatever, and doesn't even know the language. So yeah, I mean, yeah, first 15 expected it, but as we got into the game, I felt a lot better.
Yeah, we did. Look, I kind of anticipated them to come out fast at us and press us all over. And I'm going to stick with you, Mick. So, did you think, in terms of the lineup for us, it was fairly obvious? Did you think, or did you think, you would have made any changes or anticipated any changes? I mean, apart from sort of the danger of a couple of people suspected with COVID. If everyone was past fit, like everyone was, apart from Konate, I beg your pardon, I thought it was pretty much what we expected, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only one you're looking at is maybe Thiago coming in for Keita.
Yeah.
And then the only other possible one, I think, maybe Jota in for Mane. I don't know. I think just switch, mix and matching players, like you said earlier, keeping players fit and whatever. But it kind of did make sense just to go with that front three and keep Diaz on the left, keep Mane as a striker, trying to get him into that role and get him to, I don't know, feel his way into that role a little bit more, because he's had games where he's looked good, he's had games where he's not looked so good in terms of his touch and whatever, and he's obviously not going to be the same as Bobby Firmino in terms of holding up the ball up and whatever, but hopefully he can get that position down a little bit more. But yeah, it was as to be expected. Obviously, I think it was Van Dijk and wasn't in training, was he? And I think Konate and somebody else. So then obviously Klopp on the presser saying there's COVID. They read into it that there might be COVID case. So obviously people thought it might be Van Dijk's, and we saw the team sheet that was obviously made up that Van Dijk was in there. But yeah, it was pretty much to be expected, to be fair. Naby Keita, I mean, I think from what I've read on Twitter, like, he got a lot of shit, to be honest, but I don't know if we're going to come on to that. I thought he was good.
Where I was speaking off air and telling you that we hadn't sent you the agenda for today, which is my bad. And I wish I did now, because that's one of the things we were going to touch upon and specifically. But it's okay, Mick. You spoil my agenda, why don't you? I'm mentioning in the first 5 minutes. But Conroy, moving swiftly on like that didn't happen. So yeah, look, mixed right, absolutely. You know, the way that game started, it was just a matter of us sussing them out, kind of seeing the situation. No real danger, no real chances that I can remember. Unless you can remember.
I feel like they got in the final third. It was more decision making, but it wasn't. I don't think it was because of outstanding play by us. They didn't. I think it was their final pass. But just warning signs, not really. Just good play. Just because they're good. They're a good team. They're very well coached, and he's a very good manager. And like his players represent him, so you could see that. But as I say, Grizz, I completely agree. I think it was just time to figure out, which I think we're a lot better at, Mick, than, as you said, than we have been previous years in the club. I think we're very good at that now. Not panicking if we're not like dominating the game in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, Diogo reminds us the forced save from Ali. That was it. No, sorry, it wasn't even a save. The Mopai shot from long range that whistled just past. It was actually close because I was right behind that, so it was quite close actually. But apart from that, Conroy, we settled down, and for me, part of the settling down process, the key to settling down the process was our midfield. I think this midfield, the statistics apparently, you know, people on Twitter love finding random stats, and it tells us that when Naby and Hendo have played together, we haven't lost now. I just wanted to get your opinion on them two as a combination, because I think I've touched upon Fabinho in the last month or so. Fabinho is operating at a very, very high level, and we've spoken about that. But as Mick says, Naby and Hendo have been getting stick. Both we have Liverpool. They call themselves Liverpool supporters that can't get off Hendo's back. And we've got Liverpool supporters that can't get off Naby's back, or vice versa. We have the extremes on other sides. Whatever Hendo does, he's a god, and whatever Naby does, he's a god. But we'd like to be a bit more balanced on this show, I'd like to think, and I think when they do well, it's time to praise them. And I thought they were key. They were key to sort of, after that 15 minutes, working out where they are, as we guys have spoken, because their midfielders play everywhere. They try to flood the midfield, interchange quite a bit. Once we sussed it out, I thought them two were key to sort of the domination that ensued.
Yeah, no, I agree, Grizz, and I think it probably both of them to a certain extent, I would say, is simplifying their game, and I think we'd all kind of agree with that. I think Henderson, during these kind of bad running games, and I know Ev will probably come on this as well, because we talked about the transitions, the way the eights play, but in general, sometimes try and passes, like Hollywood passes all the time, or flick on balls that are not on. I think he's simplified it recently. He knows he's not in top form, and they're not all going to come off. So I think his game, he's been keeping it simple, keeping the control. I think it's actually helped him, especially the two Inter Milan games when he came on. You noticed the difference with that. And I think the same has to be said for Naby. It might not be the Naby that we bought and we said he's going to dominate with these, groundbreaking runs, anti-press, and taking defenders out of the way. But, we're getting a pretty solid midfield performance from him. Again, I think I don't know if it's Klopp specifically. Some people have got theories that it is to be more like Genie in that sense, to kind of retain the ball and then pick your moments. But both of them have simplified it in that way, which is a good thing for us, because right now the biggest issue at times this season has been game management. So that's why I think that was important, and it's not a coincidence that both of them simplified is maybe harsh, but you know what I'm saying. I'm saying not being like percentage passes a lot of the time, keeping the control. So that's what I've been impressed with recently.
I think you're actually spot on with that, because I was going to come to Evan and I was going to say, Evan, so overall the performance gave me a vibe of our Premier League winning season, and our last couple of performances have given me that vibe. And when I often look back at that season, the most important thing, or the standout thing about Liverpool, was the controlling of games. We weren't spectacular. We smashed the odd team, like on the counter when Mo and Mane went wild. But in the majority, on the whole, we would never look like losing a game of football. And it was one of those situations. And one of the key points that I wanted to get you guys' opinion was one of the key elements of that was our midfield. Do you remember it was referred to as a Brexit midfield or a functional midfield? And what was the midfield on the whole? Fabinho, Gini, Hendo. That was our go-to midfield in the majority of the games. It's so key that when we speak about Naby Keita and his role that he's had in the seasons that it's been here, we've always been undecided. What is he? The Leipzig Naby was different. He's come to Liverpool. We have different dynamics with our midfield, but now we're seeing, and it's reflective of the control we're showing in the games that he's played in with Henderson, that he's now the Gini replacement, so to speak, in terms of functionality and the role that he plays. And I thought that was so apparent again on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the new role Keita finds himself in is definitely more similar to the Gini role than anything he was doing in the Bundesliga for Leipzig. And I talk a lot about that control that we used to have over games. I tweeted after the Carabao Cup final. I had some slight criticisms for Jordan Henderson's performance on the day, specifically the first chance that Chelsea made in the final. I think it was Pulisic. Obviously the game isn't played in still images, but I found some situations where I thought Henderson was too aggressive off the ball. And exerting control is extremely important, as you said. I could count on one hand how many times we lost control of a game for longer than 5 minutes in that title-winning season. And yet, even though we're so offensively impressive this season compared to any other, the control we've had in games has been far inferior to that. I'm pretty sure, the stats show it, the eye test shows it, it's everything. But recently, this sort of Fabinho, Henderson, Keita axis has been working for us, in a period where, Thiago, bit injured here, bit injured there, nothing to derail our season, but just, certain situations that have kept him out of the starting lineup. It's begun to work. I would like to see a big sample size of data before I say that the Henderson Keita combination is the new Thiago Fabinho thing. I mean, the Thiago Fabinho thing is, game after game after game after game. So I would like to see a larger sample size, but so much of what Keita has been able to do positively recently has come from something that we're going to touch upon today, which is just playing football matches, but we'll get into that.
Shout out to Team Coppish. If that's actually them, I should have texted them because we've got so many impersonators these days. Could be another Conroy type
impersonator. I think it is, but it could be wrong. You never know nowadays.
But what I was gonna go on, and people in the chat, Evans asked for a sample size. So can you tell us the amount of games that was based on, of Naby and Hendo being unbeaten? I'm interested as well to know how many games are there unbeaten. But Mick, do you see that? Do you see that role that is specified for Naby now? That he plays in a very similar. That's it. Good man. Shout out to the boys at Team Coppish. Then big up yourselves. Is that the case then? That the balance, and it's not only, and Evan makes a point as well that it's. Well, I don't know if you made the point. I was going to make the point actually. I'm not going to credit Evan because I was thinking it. I was hoping Evan would think like me, and we often do, but I don't think he got to it. I think the key is that the way Jurgen Klopp wants his midfielders and the different attributes and skills of each one, as a collective, he wants them to do a similar job in each game. So what I mean by that, whatever the combination is, their roles are. So, for example, if where Naby played, if that was Thiago, he would have had the same instructions. If that was Curtis, like we've seen, Curtis is given a similar role. We see him, his heat map and the areas he plays in. Henderson, Elliott on the other side, even when Thiago was on the side. What I'm saying is Fabinho is the only one that his role is different from the others. And the eights kind of know their roles now. And to me, it seems like Naby has finally landed. That's the point I'm trying to get to. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's the interchangeable personnel. That's what we want. We want to be as fluid as we can be, but also, like you said, keeping players fresh, and we don't want it to be much of a drop in quality when an Naby Keita comes in for a Thiago, and we want him to be the same level whilst also staying fit. And I think we saw it in the Inter game where I think Thiago was on the left, and I think it was Curtis Jones on the right, and I think it felt a little bit mismatched because, like you said, I think Curtis is more of a left-sided of a three, and I think he's hopefully going to get to a stage where he can start playing a few more games because he's in and out and he's whatever, and he does have a few good games and that. But I think Keita and Thiago, I think it's one of them. If they're quite injury prone, so that's another thing that comes into it. So if we can get them to both a level where we can give Keita 60 and then the next game give him 30, give Thiago 60, give him 30. And I think it's just kind of doing that in a cycle and hoping that they stay fit. And and then obviously Curtis Jones comes in there, like I said, Harvey Elliott and Hendo on either side can both play that right side as good as it can be, really. So I think it's good. It's good signs going forward that we've got a bit of consistency there, because we lost Gini. He was such a backbone on that left side of the three. And like you said, the whole Brexit midfield thing, it was all about functionality. And I think the more functional that midfield becomes, the better we become as a team.
I think we've got Joe who's a friend of the channel. Joe's in the chat. Welcome,
Shout out to Joe. I watched these. Sorry, Grizz. I watched these stream earlier. I watched the highlights when Leeds scored in the last minute. If you've not seen it, go and check it out. That is football heritage, as they would say. Emotions, amazing.
Absolute emotions and limbs. Big up Leeds, man, and big up Joe. More importantly, Conroy, I think, I think I'm happy with Naby now that I've come to sort of peace, because I've always said, if after 3 to 4 seasons, if we're still unsure about a player, that's not a good sign, whether it's through availability or whether it's through quality. And I think the quality of Naby's never been in doubt, but the availability has really irked us. And I know I was supposed to go to Evan on this, so I don't know if you want to do a quick substitution or if you want to take it, but I think
Evan's got the share screen for it, isn't he? So maybe I'll pass this on to Ev.
So Evan, again, Mick didn't know we were going to segue into this, but Mick led us to it brilliantly. I mean, it's natural. It's amazing how it happens.
This is meant to be another 10 minutes in, Mick. So you've jumped the gun in this.
We often speak about sort of the availability of the likes of Matip, who I was going to go on to next, because he's the creator of the goal. And how often have we said that this season? I think he's without doubt evolved into this playmaking hybrid of an elegant centre-back who plays near enough every game, who creates a chance every game. There's nothing that this guy can't do right now. But the biggest blessing that we've had this season, and I remember me and you speaking quite a bit about these guys' possible availability levels this season, which will be crucial. Because we didn't invest in the squad that much, it was crucial that the players on the periphery of the squad, like your Nabys and Matips, and even your Oxes, remain available. They have. There's a reason, you think, and you brought it up in our WhatsApp today. There's a reason, and I think, again, you spotted it, that there's a element of we've worked on this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it breathes into a culture that Klopp has instilled at Liverpool, of him not trying to be this Ferguson, Wenger-like figure that oversees and does everything. He's more than happy to defer to the analysts, people, to defer to his medical team, the nutritionists, the sports psychologists. We really dig into the science about how to run a sporting institution. It doesn't matter that it's football. This is just how you do it. And we have to shout out Dr. Andreas Schlumberger, who was appointed, I believe, December 2020. Let me pull up let me share my screen real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Share that, pull it up. And then you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right, let me make it full screen. This was from the official website. You can see right on the turn of the new year, 29th of December 2020, we hired Andreas Schlumberger as head of recovery and performance. So, and this wasn't really the exact same position as Mini Klopp, who is Kornmeier, the guy with the smaller version of Klopp with glasses. This is technically a different role. So it says right there, this newly created specialist role will support and work in close collaboration with the current performance, medical, and rehabilitation leadership. As you can see, he's coming from Schalke. He's worked with Dortmund, so he's already familiar with Jurgen Klopp in a professional sense. He joined Bayern Munich. He's worked for Borussia Mönchengladbach, FC Nuremberg. So he is well-traveled, as you could see. And in my opinion, it's absolutely no coincidence that we're seeing Naby Keita and Joel Matip reach a new level of overall durability. So much of the dialogue over the transfer list summer that we had was, well, yeah, on paper, there's a lot of names there, but how many of them are injury prone? And to be fair, you were in the summer, you were well within your right to argue that you can't consider Naby Keita and Joel Matip as true squad options, just because in order to be a true squad option, you need to be available a certain amount of games. And the amount of games that they've played in their Liverpool career is kind of damning in that sense. However, given the faith that Klopp placed in this guy to get the most out of these players who weren't available enough, Naby Keita and Joel Matip are absolutely true squad options at this point. And it's no coincidence that Joel Matip is probably having his best season ever in a Liverpool shirt. He's, like you said, Grizz, undeniably probably the best ball-playing center back in the world at this point, if not just a top 5 center back in the world in his own right. But yeah, what we're seeing from them is unprecedented, and we have to take our hat off to Dr. Schlumberger, and also just the faith that the people running the club place in experts. No one is overextended beyond their workload. Nobody is being tasked with doing too much. We trust the science. We trust the experts when it comes to doing anything at the club. And that's why I've fallen in love with this regime at Liverpool.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with anything that you said there. How do we remove that now?
All right.
That's what we do. And that's the reason. Look, it's so evident and apparent, isn't it, Conroy, that what's going on here? What has he done?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was clicking to remove the same time as you, and I took Mick out the stream.
It's so apparent. It's so apparent that how are you going to make me say his name in it? Evan, help me out here, man. Dr.
Schlumberger.
Tushamini.
Stop, Conroy. We only just kicked that habit. Don't put it in our heads again.
Can I call him? Because there's a new shop that's opened up around the corner called Slamburger, and that's on my mind.
I don't think that's
right
anything
now.
Close to it, Grizz.
If that helps you, Grizz, then
Dr.
by all means,
Dr. Schlamberger.
Schlemberger. There you go.
I'm just gonna admit Slamburger. I'm just gonna pretend Slamburger is a German franchise. So I'll just call him Schlamburger.
Yeah, if you say it quickly, no one's gonna correct you.
And I often say it very quickly. That's a little secret I let you in. When you can't pronounce something, just say it very quickly. Nobody notices it.
I was watching something today, and the fan went to say Aspilicueta, right? And he just he went Christensen, Rudiger, and went to say Aspilicueta, and just Aspera, and then just carried on with the interview.
It's the best way to do it. Oh, Conrad, bless this man. He's come in and he's changed whatever he's changed, because he's the expert. We don't know exactly what he does, because if we did, we wouldn't be sitting here. We'd be doing that job or something similar. But whatever he's done, it's almost revitalized the Liverpool careers of Matip, Keita. In terms of availability, Ox, because let's not forget Ox has been available for majority of the season.
Yeah.
Who else has been?
I would say Joe and Ox probably more. There were serious injuries, wasn't it? I know they've had, obviously Joe Gomez was a really big injury, and I know Ox had the 2 serious ones. But to be fair, he's had a few niggles.
But in terms of availability, how often do we used to hear about a lot of our players out with muscle strains or whatever? It just shows you how sharp we are off the field, aren't we, in terms of our recruitment and background checks and works. And it's just a sign of a brilliantly run club, basically.
Absolutely, Grizz. I would actually add, we've discussed this before, but I know Mick's not on every show, but there's the chat on know as well. We've had a segment on the set piece coach as well previously. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes at Liverpool to get that 0.1% advantage more. And certain pundits or, we'll talk about different streaming services, were saying how, it's getting a set piece coach. That seems a bit daft just for that. We've scored the most set pieces in the Premier League this year. And it's like people are referring to this sport like it's not like the most viewed thing and viewed a sport at the weekend. So it is a multi-million pound. So of course teams are going to do anything to get a small percentage. So I just think it's quite good as well that you think we've set pieces. Well, we're top of the charts with that. We've got the recovery and performance coaching, and then we've got our two players who would say we're the most worried about of there's been a absolutely effect on that from their employment. So I think that's superb. What I would also say, guys, just to all three of you here, if at the start of the season I said Joe Matip would have played this much, you would think I was on the laughing gas, or I was not making complete sense, because I think we're still maybe not fully realised that we all thought Joe Matip, touch wood, but he was going to break down at one point. And we're nearly 3/4 of the season, got 10, 11 games left, and he's still not broken down. Like that's unbelievable. And then to add Keita to that as well, I think that it just shows that there's so much you can do intelligently behind the scenes. And I feel like Liverpool recently, if you go from recruitment to coaches to just looking at certain areas, throwing coaches, people laughed at that. You do anything, all that, it's proven dividends because we're competing with an absolute machine. And we have stopped them, because if we weren't here, believe me, City would already have, no one else is winning that league. So the fact that we've done that and we've won the trophies we have and we're continuing to compete, I just think it all stems from the decision making of the club.
Yeah, look, Red Steve says it. He nails it here, basically. He says, look, hit the like for Grizz attempting a name. He's only heard everyone say 10 minutes in the last 5 minutes. Look, Red Steve, I love you, right? I absolutely love you because you send the funniest messages sometimes, right? But you should know it's not about how many times you hear it. The difficult part is when you fucking try to say it yourself. So I could have heard Evan say it all night long. The moment I knew I had to say it, my blood pressure rose and I panicked. So
it's different when you have to say it in front of hundreds of people. You know what I mean? It's very different. Conroy, I also just have to say, I'm so glad you brought up the throw-in coach thing, because I remember people just took the piss out of that on Twitter. Normal people, pundits. I remember Steve Nicol had a field day with it on ESPN. And then a year later, Liverpool had the second highest possession retention rate in Europe from throw-ins, behind who? FC Midgetland, the only other club that our throw-in coach works for. So it's just, it's just one of those things, like, clearly he knows what he's doing, and it's all about minimal gains, especially when you're going up against City. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, just add as well, guys, just on the decision making, I'm not referring to all the transfers, just it's a separate segment. We'll talk about that in the summer, but just in general, I think a lot of this stuff has been intelligent behind the scenes.
Ilyas asks, where's Big Keith today? Ilyas, you should ask, where's Big Keith, full stop, because Big Keith is on holiday. So he's enjoying himself. He sent a picture of him sitting in the sun, wearing some shorts, and I seen the guy's size of his legs, people. It's like oak trees, man. I'm telling you, the guy's a beast.
Quite terrifying, yeah.
Yeah, he reminds me of what was that guy in Game of Thrones?
You called him Bane last week, didn't we?
Oh no, you're talking about the mountain. But for me, Keith is like Adama Traore, but a little scarier, a little taller. You know what I mean?
So. Oh no, twice the size of Adama Traore. I'll tell you that for a fact. Just a super chat before we get into continue. Jay Finn says, what do you guys think about Maupay? I think he's a low-level championship player at best. His shot to conversion rate is shit. I can't stand him. Nick is not one of your favorites, is he?
No, I agree. He's got a mouth on him, but he doesn't really back it up with the talent, really. Obviously, I think he had that one chance, didn't he? Where if that goes in, then you go, yeah, fucking hell, fair play, good goal. But yeah, average. I mean, I think you said it earlier, Evan. Like, if they've got some good players, Brighton, but if they actually got a good number 9, they'd actually be quite. I think
that'll happen in the future, Mick. I think they're just trying to find the perfect one who can. Because I think Maz did say he's good at pressing, Maupay, and that's why I think.
Yeah,
like a Chris Wood, for example, wouldn't fit Brighton, if you know what I mean. And I think they'll do that eventually.
Mick, staying with you.
Can I just add, Grizz, on that? He scored 26 goals in 3 seasons in the Premier League.
You've started doing this. Can I quickly? It's the equivalent of the Yavi. Just a quick one.
Sorry,
isn't it?
It's just the Maupay. It's on Maupay.
Just a quick one. And Conroy's, can I just add?
No, I won't do it the rest of the night. I promise. It was
I'm
just to say
clocking on you.
he's got 26 goals in 3 seasons, right? I feel like low-level championship player is a bit like that's harsh for me. I still think scoring that many goals in the Premier League is still pretty impressive. Considering I think one of those seasons Chris Hughton was in charge as well. I think he scored 10 Premier League goals in that season. So, fair enough. I do think sometimes we're too easy to get wound up, though. It's like he does one gesture towards Alisson and people are going for his blood. Like, it is. There's a lot of this in football. It's not, I don't know, maybe I'm just more calm. I don't get wound up by that stuff.
I think you are more calm because the calmest player on the pitch for both sides and probably in the Premier League is our number 5 because we actually have a song about how calm he is, right? And Mick, it was hilarious where I don't know if you guys remember in the first half, probably around midway, first half on the where Mopai's trying to get a foul or a corner out of him or something in the box, and he goes down looking for a foul, and Virgil's like, I haven't touched you, and he gets up and he tries to, normally, he tries to go eyeball to eyeball with whoever, he doesn't care, but then when he realized it's Virgil, he kind of just, you could hear him. Like I could hear him pass wind, like if you know what I mean. I was sitting like about 500 yards away, but I heard a little, because what else are you supposed to do when you do that and you stand up and you realize it's Virgil that was behind you, right? Like he's an idiot basically.
Yeah, I think he's probably just realised it was Virgil and thought, fucking hell, I didn't realise it was him. What I better back
He
off.
thought it's Robertson because he was in that area. And he thought it's Robertson, but then Virgil just picked him up. You know, like how you pick up a little pest. He just picked him up like, come on, get on with the game.
It was like the Christian Eriksen thing, when that Brandon Williams was like going, and then he realised Christian Eriksen and he hugged him. That was brilliant.
It was. But look, we've spoken about, and of course we must congratulate Naby because that's actually 100 games. And I know it's always hot topic of debate. What do we do with Naby? What do we do with Ox? What do we do with XYZ? Guys, I'm in the position where, and I'll just very quickly go round and give me a yes, no answer. I'm very happy to keep Naby Keita now, and I'm on mix, so I'll stay with you. What do you do with him in the summer now? Give a new contract or still cashing in?
Yeah, I think we keep him. I think he's shown enough this season. I mean, like Evan eloquently showed us, like obviously signing a coach that kind of help these kind of situations, and I think he has been a little bit more durable this year. I think he has the jury's always going to be out on him. I think generally, especially if you spend too much time on Twitter in terms of being available and whatever, and maybe impacting games, but I think he's tailoring his game to the role that we need him for, and I think that's what we need to bear in mind, that he usually wants to drive forward a bit more. He's a bit more of an attacking midfielder in my eyes anyway. I think he's got, that's just in him, that's always wanting to burst out, but he's a bit more reserved in that left-hand side for us, and I think he's finally getting there, and I think, yeah, it'd be stupid to get rid of him. I think it's Ox would be maybe more the person that I'd want to get rid of if I had to pick out of those two, for example.
Yeah, Conroy, I asked for a yes/no answer from Mick, but he gave me a bit of a...
I think Grizz on that decided in the season, because we've had spells where it's like Ox is in good form, Keita's not available.
You're
again.
still waiting till the end of the season.
No, I'm saying right now. I'm just saying. I think.
No, I'm saying right. I want an answer.
10
right
games
now.
to go. I think it's smarter, like, just to keep him, because I think if you sell him, how much you're really going to get? You're not going to get your money back. You might get tops 30 mil, if that. I still don't think maybe 25 mil. I feel like try to replace someone who could be not a squad player, I don't mean like that, but who could competition for the midfield, who could realistically play a lot of games and be part of that, the starting midfield free. I feel like it would be harder to replace him for that. So I think you keep him.
Evan, I think I know your answer, but let you say it.
Yes, I like Naby Keita. Keep Naby Keita. Naby Keita is a good thing.
I thought so. And thanks for actually answering with a brief sentence, unlike the other two fellas. But it is what it is. I've got to get used to it, and I've got to work my way around it. We spoke about Matip, Conroy, and then lo and behold, I don't know what you call him. He's at the moment he's our chief playmaker. He steps out, and do you remember? And he's been playing brilliantly in defense as well, and he's available. It's like a dream come true at the moment. But Do you remember last week where we spoke about a lot of teams working out how to stop the ball going out to Trent nice and early? And do you remember we spoke about the source of that is Joel Matip, because he manages to we always manage to circulate the ball, and then we wait for, because teams have a tendency to, obviously, most teams when they play, they have a tendency to sort of move side to side as a team, as a collective. And so what we tend to do is wait for teams to go onto the Robertson side, keep Robertson, a bit of interplay with Naby, Robertson, Verge, and then Matip finds Trent in space. Again, Brighton started off stopping that pass to Matip and Salah very early. Cucurella was quite tight on Salah, and I can't remember the fellow who was playing on Trent's side, but whoever it was quite tight. But the genius that Joel Matip is, and I think he's brought this element to the game as well, was this time round, he doesn't just play the pass out to Trent and let Trent do that pass. He fucking does it himself. How the hell do you defend like that when we can hit you from every part of the pitch, whatever player has got the ball?
No, absolutely, Grizz. And I feel like you say if you block that path, Matip can also like gallop. I say gallop because he just goes in adventure. Do that as well. Like the goal against Leeds, two probably goals against Leeds. The Salah's one as well. Ellen Road, he goes in, and the 1-2 obviously for his goal. For some reason, pundits don't seem to remember because they keep saying he's not scored a goal. He has scored a goal this season. Don't know why they keep saying he's not. But because of that, I feel like that kind of space that he can move into gets created when you block off the route of Trent. And now he's passing about. I think that all comes from his confidence as well, because like, the thing about Matip, he's always been quite good with, the passes and coming forward. But even like, I would not say like he's a Verge passer. Do you know what I mean? See how Verge can just do like a 6-yard diag like it's nothing. But you can obviously see that Matip's got that confidence now, and that is an outstanding pass. So I feel like that comes with the way he's played this season. He just feels like, I deserve to be here. I'm not just as good as Virgil, but I am the perfect partner for Virgil, and I've been outstanding. So I feel like it comes with that, and it's just it's an incredible pass, like it really is, and it's I'll be honest, Touchwood. I know people say in the chat, but he's just getting better, I think, because like see that the Leeds one, the 1-2 with Salah, for me that just what can you do as a team? You put tactics in place, but are you really going to stop a centre back given the space for him to come in your half? Not really, because you're going to go on the percentages, and I just think it's a great weapon that we've got.
Evan, I wanted to come to you this part because obviously it's the Luis Diaz part, and obviously you wasn't a fan of Luis Diaz, so we're going to hurt you every time.
Absolutely.
We're going to remind you of the pain, but he was outstanding throughout the game. His levels of fitness, his work rate, his touch, his tenacity, his aggressive forward play. I was smiling throughout the game because every time we needed an out ball, every time we needed someone to start an attack, to cut inside, to go on the outside, he was our go-to man. And he was on the same pitch as two absolute iconic legends, two of the greatest attackers this club has ever seen in Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. Yet here was a guy who's been with us for less than 2 months, guys. Something like that. And he was our go-to man. That was very brave of him, because many a fallen attacker wouldn't have, because Sanchez is a big, big keeper. And he's got that goatee that I used to sport when I was young. And trust me, when you have a goatee like that, you do look intimidating. What I did anyway. So not many people would approach me in the street. Never mind, come at me like sort of get out of my way with if I was coming at them like this. Like
I got you. I got you.
He's fucking brave on top of being fucking brilliant, right?
Yeah. Small correction. Wanting somebody else over Luis Diaz does not mean you're not a fan of him, technically. So, but
Save
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, yes, maybe it's the same thing. But listen, the only thing missing from some of his recent equally impressive performances was a goal contribution. You know what I mean? I feel like in his short career so far, he's had 5 or 6 games where we're all like, whoa, Luis Diaz, the only thing missing was an assist or a goal. And given that we have some incredible stat merchants on our team, as the internet would call them, maybe we weren't so used to the out-and-out winger performance that we've been getting from him. But he did get his goal. He was worthy of his goal. I cannot believe, on a side note, that Sanchez did not, at the bare minimum, see a yellow card for that, because he's coming out there with the intention of wiping out the attacker. He's nowhere near the ball. He's in a different postal code than the ball. I couldn't believe that wasn't given, but moving on, he gets his goal. Diaz doesn't have a concussion. We move. I have a new term for Diaz when he goes isolated with the opposition right back. It's called the torture chamber. And he put poor Lamptey in the torture chamber a few times. And let me tell you, Lamptey is not he's not Eric Peters. You know what I mean? He's quick. He's really, really quick. Probably one of the league's quickest players, over 5 to 10 yards. And he outpaced him even with the ball. I want to hammer in how impressive that is, because everyone in the world runs slower with the ball with the exception of Lionel Messi. It is so impressive to beat one of the quickest fullbacks in the league when you have the ball and you're keeping it under your spell. That is so ridiculously impressive over like a full field foot race. I just couldn't believe how good that was. But, you know, he did have some moments where I thought he could have released the ball. You know, I'm thinking towards the 90th minute where he could have slipped in Jota, got to the byline a couple times. That's just me, you know, gun to my head if I had to critique something. But overall, without a doubt, he's our man of the match. And, you know, long live the torture chamber, because these 1v1 isolation situations that he's going to get against opposition fullbacks, they're not going to last much longer. I think we're only a month or two away from seeing him getting the double team, triple team treatment that Mohamed Salah gets.
And Mick, coming to you, if that happens, then we know what happens. It opens up spaces all over the pitch. And I wanted to come on to a couple of players that, and you know, I saved this super chat because I wanted to come to you with it. So Math says, what's been worse recently, Mane's first touch or Mo's last touch? Do you see where he's coming from? Because I've been slightly critical of Sadio Mane in recent weeks, but that's only because I know the levels that this guy has produced in his time with us, and then I also take into consideration that he's learning on the job now, which essentially is an absolute new position. And for the first time yesterday, I saw glimpses of a new Sadio Mane in a new role. Because as mad and as crazy as this sounds, and normally I'm not the guy to go over the top with my reactions, and I don't want to be that guy that talks about the shiny new toy and chuck out all the old ones. But I think Luis Diaz is in my first 11, in my best first 11 on that left now. And I say that with the utmost huge respect for Sadio Mane, who has been a king and a lion king for me and my club. But for the first time yesterday, Mick, I saw a career, an extension of Sadio Mane's Liverpool career through that centre. How did you think he done?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's hard to judge because, like you said, he's learning on the job, and we're comparing him to Bobby because Bobby is that perfect person in that role. He drops in the touch, like you can wrap it into his feet at 100 miles an hour. He'll kill that ball. He'll turn. He'll play it 5 yards or play a ball in behind to a winger who's made a run into the space. That's the problem we're having, because we know when that system, when all the perfect people are in the system, all the correct personnel, we know how dangerous it is. So yeah, it's difficult. Like I said, Diaz is immovable at the minute because he is that good. He is literally that good, and Sadio's just going to have to kind of, like you said, learn that role. And I think there's small. I think it's baby steps in terms of that, because like I said, that you've got to have a great first touch, and I think we maybe need to fine tune that a little bit more in terms of maybe when we're playing it into him, it's not like speed of light like we do to Bobby, because we know Bobby can handle it. Maybe we need to tailor that a little bit in terms of maybe he picks up slightly deeper positions where if his touch isn't great, he can get away with it. But there was like you said, there's moments where I think he flicked over someone's head, and then he has a shot at the end of it, and it's stuff like that where you go, yeah, he can do that role because he's got the pace, he's got the agility, he's got the game intelligence, and we know that because we've seen that for years on that left hand side. He can tear people inside out. But yeah, I think it's a good option to have anyway, because obviously Mo can play there. I'm sure Diaz can play there. We saw Jota come on. Bobby was on the bench, and he can come on and do that role. Obviously, if he can get himself back fit and firing like we know he can be one of the best in the world again. But yeah, it's promising signs, and I think we just need to be patient with Sadio there. I think if he gets a few goals there, that might be key. If he bags a few more and he starts to feel himself into that role, I think that might be good news all around for us.
Yeah, I definitely saw glimpses, and that piece of skill that you speak about, where he flicks it over Veltman, that was the Sadio Mane at Southampton that terrorized us one evening when we thought, okay, he came to our attention apparently in that game when he scored that hat-trick, and that was a Sadio Mane. I thought, ooh, look, the touch, nobody. And people often, and the players, if you ask them in training who has the best touch and who's the best most techers, they say Bobby Firmino. So to expect him to have the touch of Bobby is asking, people in the chat asking Avi to have the insight I have on football. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen, right?
He's not going to be happy with that one. He's not going to be happy with that one. You're going to get a voice note later. You get a voice note later now.
But that doesn't mean Avi hasn't got brilliant insight, and he's got different skills and brings different attributes to the table. And look, with Sadio Mane, he brings a total different type of attacker, total different type of nine that we've been accustomed to until Jota came along, Conroy. Now, Jota and Mane are different as well now. Now, I know you've been very, very favorable in terms of Jota being that number 9. So this is why I wanted to come to you now. It's brilliant, as Mick says, to have these options and flexibility in terms of different styles, because Bobby's different from Jota, Jota's different from Bobby, Mane's different to both of them. but between the three of them, have we got our number 9 sorted for the next?
I don't think we have. Yeah, I don't think we have a number 9 personally, anyway. But I still think, like, if you're talking about like a Bobby number 9, like a false 9, yeah, potentially. I still think there's games where we watch a game and we're brilliant, we're great, and then we have a team who sits in, and then none of our front three can hold the ball up to save their life for a first half, and everyone's like, oh my God, we're so Bobby Firmino. So I think we need to remember that not all teams is like, you can't have everyone who's the same. But I don't know. I still think there's a bit of evolving in general. We're not going to talk about that now, about like replacing Origi and stuff, and you can look at an option who could be a little bit different when they come in. But on who we've got, Grizz, I'm very much of the opinion not to sell Bobby Firmino, because I feel like having that person available who's different is very useful to have. And I'm not convinced why we would get rid of him. I've not seen actually a realistic suggestion why we would right now. But on the point of who we've got, right now, yeah, good. I've said this before, like, we need to stop thinking it's only 11 players. Like, there's so many games. Every week there's a new dilemma because someone's injured, someone's better for this match, someone's got a better record against this opposition, and it's not been a problem for Jurgen Klopp. So I don't know why we're so desperate to reduce the squad. I don't mean us, I mean just in general. This is social media, that's what it's like there now. But what I would say is, I think Mane's done decent and maybe poor in other games, but then decent in others is a 9. As I say, Mick, still learning the job. I'm sympathetic as well, because I feel like even the Chelsea game, I was like, he didn't do well, but then you rewatch it, he done better than you thought he did. I think the games have been like that. I still think though Jota has done a much better job of a passable Firmino and had more success at that this season, probably because he's just played more games there in general. He's had bad games as well, I'm not saying that, but he's just done it more often. So through the sample size, Jota's your starter. But that going into the Arsenal game, I know I'm not doing the pre-match or anything, Grizz, about this now, but Klopp obviously likes Mane there. So I think by the end of the season you'll see the direction it's going. But right now I still think it's Jota, just because there's been more performances where he's had a passable version of that.
Evan, either way, it's I'm fascinated and excited already about the work our coaches are going to do with our attack, because it's just going to be like, imagine a summer where Pep Linders gets a hold of Luis Diaz and and makes him even better. I mean, it's frightening, right? And as Evan says, as Conroy says, the fact that we're having this discussion, and only 2 months ago we had decided that Jota was the new Bobby, so to speak, and now we're saying, wait, hold on, Mane could be prolonged, used in that position, and then Sadio can often play on Mo if Mo needs a rest, and then Bobby's there. Bobby's going to come back for games like possibly Arsenal, and it's as Keith says, it's rich man problems, right?
Absolutely. And I think the phrase I would use to describe Mane's season up until this point has been not pretty, but oddly effective. Stats wise, he's putting up good numbers, not his best, but they're good. You know, they're in the upper tiers. This is both in goal involvements, bias stats, and in just like actions around the pitch, touches and heat maps and nerdy things like that. So, you know, it's not the same devastatingly quick Mane that, you know, we saw at Liverpool for a time. There was a time he was just as fast as Luis Diaz. But through the middle, it's oddly effective. It's not the same, you know, fluidity that Firmino brings. It's not the same lethality that Jota brings in the box. But what I've noticed about Mane is that in that central role, he's a bit of a tank. You know, he doesn't have the same pretty touches as Bobby Firmino, but boy, is he hard to push off the ball. And he really rolls defenders better than the other two just because of his physical stature. You know, we've arrived at this impasse with the number 9 because, you know, Firmino's on the decline a bit. Mane probably already on the decline a bit. Jota, is he better out wide? Is he the number 9 that we need? I think my hot take on the situation is that you just need about 5 or 6 good attackers and you'll be okay. I've gotten to the point where I don't care about replacing Firmino because there is no replacing Firmino. That is too unique of a profile. You see a player like that once every 20 years. I'm not about trying to convert Jota into something he isn't. I'm not about trying to buy a false 9, buy a true number 9. I think you just need 5 or 6 versatile attackers, and they can take turns playing in the middle for all I care. Because that's been the story of our season. We've had a bunch of people taking turns playing in the middle, even though maybe none of them are truly number 9s. You know what I mean? Firmino's probably truly a number 10. Mane's truly a left winger. Jota truly a left winger. And yet, look at us. This is our most impressive attack statistically in the Klopp era. So there you go. There's my hot take. Just buy good players and it'll sort itself out because we have the coaching staff, like you said, Pep, Linders, and Klopp, that can do that. So there you go.
Yeah. And look, the one player that we haven't mentioned so far, and it's not because he hasn't agreed the new deal, the new contract. It's just we haven't come to him, but we have to. There's not a show or there's not a game where we don't have to, or we can't not mention Mo Salah, Mick. Obviously, you know, we get the penalty. Again, Naby Keita gets the assist. Again, quietly, efficiently. Not only is he breaking up attacks, not only is he possibly one of the best pressers and consistently knows which areas to press, knows all the triggers by now, knows when to cover Robertson and whatnot. He's actually getting goals and assists. Again, it's his shot. There's no disputing the penalty, right? And there's only one man who I thought was anxious to score at times, and it kind of reflected in his performance. Someone's talking about his final touch or the final shot or the final pass. I found it a frustrating display before he got that knock out straight after the penalty, or before the penalty, he got the knock and it went off. How did you think Mo played? And obviously we knew he was going to score the penalty, right?
Yeah, I think the penalty was a formality, wasn't it? We know how good he is. He's. I never feel confident. I think I've said this before. I never feel confident when he steps up, but he's just, you know, he's going to score. But yeah, I agree. I think he was kind of playing within himself a little bit. I think he was. I don't know if the stuff with the contract. I don't know if that translates to someone who's so mentally tough like him. Probably not. I think we're probably reading too much into it if we believe that, but maybe 1%, 2% it creeps in a little bit and he thinks I need to get a goal early or whatever. I think there's a few times where Mane has a shot and you can see he's pissed off, but that's what Salah does. And I think there's another moment where Salah shoots and I think it cuts to Klopp and Klopp saying pass the ball and then he replies saying to who, when you actually watch it back, there's probably not, unless he cuts back and then does another little bit of skill, it's probably the right move to shoot in that scenario. But I think
he's knackered as well, mate. He ran about. He's
exactly.
beat 3 players.
He's
I thought he looked
goosed.
tired. Even I was like, that's a bit much. Even me, I was like, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, but I mean, like we said with Diaz, like it's going to be a time where you get to 2 or 3 team by the opposition. Mo Salah gets that every game, and that's why we do get the space, and he still manages to wriggle through. And I think it was a good performance. Obviously, to get the goal. Obviously, hopefully the injury's not bad, but I think like Klopp said after the game, like it's to see Mo Salah on the deck means that it's obviously something. So yeah, good that he got his goal. I think it was. When he stepped up, I knew he was going to score, but I was more interested to see how he was going to celebrate. Like, what was he going to do? Was it going to be a bit more muted because of all the contract stuff? But he just went straight over to the fans, didn't he? And was loving it like he usually is. So it was nice. It was nice to see, to be fair.
I can confirm that he made eye contact with me.
Saw the video
in the celebrations in the warm up. Sorry, I shouted at his name in different accents, hoping he will like one of them. Different voiceovers, people in the chat of that were there or saw that video. I tried my best, even while he was jumping on the team from the hotel. I stalked him in Brighton. Like, he'll have fond memories of Grizz stalking him around Brighton, and eventually when he scored, I was like sort of shouting mad at him. And Mick's right. You often, as fans, what we do is we look for reactions, don't we, to see how the guy's his body language and everything. How is he going to be? He was as happy and as elated as can be. He was all about the fans. He came over and he celebrated with us and everything. Oh, look, I'm still of the opinion that it will get resolved. We're not going to go in deep into it today. We probably can have a show on the situation and we could discuss it till its death. But it's at a point where, his agent has come out and made himself look like a twat. And, I don't think it helps how he's behaving. But I think we as a club and Jurgen Klopp are so efficient, professional. We won't let a dickhead like that get into the way of actual achieving what we want, which is a new deal for Mo Salah. So I think, I'm still positive we will agree a new deal. I know people have got up in arms and said, that's that. I genuinely don't think that's that at all. But Conroy, he scores the goal, 2-0. Then it was time to enjoy our day out in Brighton. I was relaxed. I was cool. I was calm. Honestly, Naby gets taken off. The usual substitutions come on. Thiago comes on. I think Kopish sent in a super chat. He says, look, this is what it is. Drifty sent in a super chat. He says, it's what you call being squadded up, boys. And this is it. We felt we saw it, didn't we? This is what being a big squad's about. We've got options in all the areas. You was calm, right? And it was all a matter of just see out this game and look forward to our next missions.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I felt, to be honest, I said before, like that was the most that was a comfortable win towards the end, which we said before the game. If we could win 3-0 at Brighton, it'd be unbelievable. So to get a 2-0 win, outstanding. Bite your hand off that before the game. No injuries. I know it Mo, but you know what I mean? No serious injuries. It's an impact injury. You got a knock. Move on to the next game. Buzzing. And I think that's absolutely ideal. So I was happy with it. Also, what to add, I think the penalty came at a good time because Mo missed a sitter before that as well. And he's missed a few recently, as all our front three have spells of doing, don't get me wrong. So that penalty came at a nice time for his confidence. Not that he needs it, but I do think he's finishing. He has snatches it a lot recently, so I think that helped as well.
Yeah, it's going to go through a few super chats with the help of you guys. Dinesh says, evening, gentlemen, great win for Liverpool. We start strong against Arsenal, 11 against Arsenal, and then FA Cup semi-strong. Which two start with Mo Salah? Ivan. He's assuming Mo Salah scans come out all good and he's fine, fit to go, which God willing, we all pray and hope he is. And then he says, which two start with Mo Salah?
Our FA Cup game is when? Remind me.
Next Sunday.
Next week. Yeah, next
Sunday. Next Sunday. So our next game is Arsenal on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. Assuming Mo's okay, I think if Firmino is going to play any type of role, then you need to start to work him back into the team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Firmino started. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Jota got a game at left wing. But at the same time, you could easily say it's going to be Jota through the middle and Luis Diaz out on the left wing. Or you could say Mane. I mean, there's no pressing fitness issues for anyone. Mo's a question mark, but a soft one at that. So it really could be anything. What I would do, though, is I would try to work Firmino back in some way. I'd go Firmino in the middle, have your pick of Diaz or Mane or Jota all in that left wing slot, and Mo can play right wing.
It's just a difficult one, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
rich man problems, Chris. Rich man problems.
I could see the stress on your face when I asked you. It's like,
I think, yeah. Do you know if he plays Jota, though, through the middle, or at least on the field, because he absolutely smashed him last time. He was the best player on the park at Emirates a couple of weeks ago.
I think it's nailed. I think it's nailed on that Jota starts. But before we carry on, we need to get minimum 200 likes. Like, this is bollocks ratio. Like last week, we were praising you guys with a ratio, and this week we flopped again. It's like we have to remind you every time. So get that ratio up, people. We need to get 200 likes minimum before the end of the show. Conroy, there was another one. Jay Finn says, if Bobby was playing over the last month, we'd have scored more. At the moment, all the forwards want to score. Brilliant segue into... Sorry, I'll leave that up there. There was a couple of incidents that you're referring to as well. There's a couple of incidents, I think, Evan. By the way, Mick had to go. Guys, shout out to Mick, and thank you very much. Hopefully... we'll be seeing him soon, but he had to go early today.
Always superb. He's brilliant. See you later, Mick. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Conroy, did you notice that? I know we've discussed the style of our forwards at the moment, and I know we're being efficient, and when I say efficient, we're winning games. That's 6 games in a row in the league, I think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
We need to, Grizz. If we don't, we're not in the title race. It's basically simple.
Exactly. But there was incidents. How did you feel about Klopp's emotions at a couple of missed opportunities and chances? Like, we don't often see Klopp react like that.
I think it's, again, I'm not just saying it, I do think he rates Brighton. We also had a 2-0 lead against Brighton at Anfield and drew 2-2 and probably should have lost the game. So I think that's in the back of the mind. He knows that Brighton don't just disappear. But thankfully, we controlled the game at the end. So I think that's why he was so wanting that second goal and even the third goal to kill the game. I think that genuinely was what the reason. That's why I looked into it. To be honest, I do think that was the case. I do think, to be honest, social media after it was a bit of a reaction, like for the chance he's missed. I think as most teams do that. I don't think that was really blatant. The only one that was blatant was Diaz. Got to pass to Jota, mate. Like, that's just horrendous. When he beats 2 men, need to slide that across.
But he actually tries.
Takes too many touches, need to pass that first time across. That's not good enough. But that's 2-0, Grizz. So if you're being greedy at 2-0 and 2 minutes to go, I don't really care. You know, we got the result in the bag. So I don't think it was anything important. The Mo one, as I say, I think Mo was knackered. And if you actually look at the still, I think to play that pass, you'd have to have eyes in the back of his head and probably have to curl around the defender.
But not only that, he's probably got the most physically combative player on either side in midfield on his back and literally pulling him back in the penalty area, which I think should have been a penalty, but it never ever gets given to Mo Salah, never ever gets looked at because he's so fucking strong running with the ball that people think that they can get away with it and do get away with it. Whereas if that's... I don't know, Dan James, if he goes down, that's a penalty. Do you know what I mean?
I think the midfielder plays it smartly, doesn't he? He puts one hand and lets it away, and then so it doesn't look obvious. But I know I agree. I think it was a penalty, though.
Evan, I'll come to you again with this one. What I like about our front 6, big up Dinesh. What I like about our front 6 that other teams don't have, all 6 will win a game for us until next season. If 1 or 2 forwards is off day, then the other will score and win the game.
Good point.
It's pretty much at the moment, isn't it? Because we're not playing collectively as a unit in terms of fluidity. When Bobby's there, we're not playing that fluid attacking football in the front 3 positions. But my God, we're fucking dangerous, and we could score at any given opportunity. And that's the nature of the beast at the moment that teams are faced with, right?
Yeah, and first off, apologies for any background noise. My house is having some last-minute work done to it, but I think all that's required from our attacking options these days, we just need one person to be on it. I mean, I've seen games not just this season, but just in the Klopp era, where one person was on it, and that was good enough most of the time. That was Sadio Mane, that was Mohamed Salah. But again, this is a team sport. That's how it works. Luis Diaz could have a game where his only good contribution is maybe making decoy runs. Everything else he does on the ball is subpar. But as long as his decoy runs are good enough, there's a chance that Diogo Jota could be playing out of his skin. Sadio Mane could be having a great game. Mohamed Salah could be having a great game. Hell, even the midfielders can be on their game, and the attackers don't have to be. If Jordan Henderson is supplying goals and assists, I mean Joel Matip supplying goals and assists, Virgil van Dijk supplying goals. You know what I mean? And this is even, you could argue that this pressure is even relieved by so much playmaking coming from our fullbacks. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andrew Robertson. What I love so much about this team is that not just the defensive workload, the off the ball things, but the offensive workload is so not evenly distributed, but the shared. You know what I mean? If we fail to score when we need to score, Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk will be thinking about what they could have done rather than, Mo Salah should have scored that. Diogo Jota should have scored that. Sadio Mane should have scored that. They'll be thinking about passes they could have made better. Crosses and corners they could have gotten on the end of. So it's a wonderful harmony and a wonderful feeling of togetherness and balance that we have. And it's not just in the attacking trio that feels the pressure to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, Hassan agrees with you, Sir Devin. That's a brilliant point. Pep Lijnders spoke about how he wants the team to be a false team, meaning they want goal threats all over the pitch, and then highlighted Alisson's assist too. And it's true. Like, is there a player that hasn't contributed? I don't think there is a single player that hasn't contributed to a goal action.
Yep.
Maybe Ibu Konate doesn't have an assist yet. I know he doesn't have a goal yet, but kid's been here for.
I was going to say from the squad that played on the weekend.
Oh,
no, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Because Kea's probably scored his most goals or goals and assists. Henderson's definitely has altogether, I'm sure. Ox always tends to chip in anyway, even if throughout the seasons he's tend to chip in. So that's goals coming from other places as well. That's very, very good. It's brilliant, actually.
I wanted to come to you because I was saving this part for you, Conway, because you are the representative
CEO of the rest.
Defend the ref this week, son. Go on.
Well, defend the ref. My point is not about defending refs. It's just about that.
No, you always say they've got hard they've got hard jobs.
No, but
Evan, don't get away with this, Evan.
No, I don't just. I've not got it in me to like hate refs every week. Some people just want to
deal
hate
with
refs.
this one.
I try to look for the logical.
Which flashpoint is this in response to, though?
The main one.
Oh,
so we'll talk about this then. Yeah, like in fairness, right? I'm going to say this straight away. I thought Mike Dean had a good game. He did. I think I can see how Mike Dean's not seen it, but that's the whole point of VR. So I think saying VR is meant to be scrapped. Come on, guys. We all know VR has to be there. There's 99%, I think 98% of decisions are correct now, which is much better, right? There's still issues. I'm not disputing that. I've said numerous times there is incompetent officials in this league. I've said that. But VR is not going anywhere. And I don't want VR to go anywhere because there's nothing worse than when obvious decisions, like, see that annoys me, but teams aren't winning with offside goals. Ben Chilwell, FA Cup final last year, Leicester, smaller team, right? 1-0 up. Chelsea scored that without VAR, right? Chelsea get back and probably win that game. Because we've got VAR, they don't. And a lower team who's winning that game, right, genuinely gets the result, right? VR, it's not going anywhere. It has to be kept. There's too many decisions have went wrong because we're relying on one person to see at 100 miles an hour. But on the decision, it's no coincidence it's Stuart Atwell in VR, who, as I put it, was also the Andy Robertson penalty last season at the Amex, right? Now, I've came out and been outspoken about the referees I don't think are competent enough. I've just said not to tarnish them all with the same brush. I've said that quite openly. So people, I don't think you can have a go at Mike Dean. No, actually, you can't, because like Mike Dean probably can't see exactly what it is. And I watched a few times and I couldn't even see the leg was up for one angle. So that's when at least the VAR say, go and have a look at that. It's not VAR, the referee who's in Stockley Park. The VAR is just a system. We need to stop referring it to that. They've got to tell him, go and have a look at that. It's quite a clear decision for me. I think if it's just his hand, okay, you can maybe say he's trying to block the ball, but he's karate kicked him. It's a pretty straightforward one, Grizz. It's not a coincidence it's Stuart Atwell. It's always the same people. As much as we want to say it's the refs, right? But see when Mike Dean's reffing a game or Oliver's reffing a game, 9 times out of 10, good refs get the job done. It's when you get your Tierneys, your Atwells, and David Coote, for example.
Oh, Jesus.
They're the ones. So all I'm saying is I don't think you can, like every ref, because I disagree. I think there is some good ones, but or good enough. Maybe I've said free, and I know there's an issue, but in general, there's no logic to say why that's not even being looked at, because it's violent conduct in general. If you go by the rules, it's not. Don't even have to talk about endangering an opponent. That's the violent conduct. You can't lift your leg like that on an opponent. It's that simple.
Just guys in the chat, last few minutes will be all about your comments that you want to speak on. So get your chats in so we can speak on it. You know what I love about this chat, Evan?
Hey, there you go. Though I don't
Trevor. My heart was in my mouth.
Hey, you know what, Trevor? We're gonna give it to him.
We're gonna have to give it to him because
we're gonna give it to him, even though it technically doesn't count.
Evan's getting the rule book out. Listen, I don't think you can do that.
It actually doesn't count in the rule book, but
I know.
You know what I mean. But
Pele would try and get those penalty shootouts to count, wouldn't he? Pele would try and get those numbers in his goals.
I want to keep this brief because I want to talk on the Sanchez incident. You know, initially I was thinking, is double jeopardy what keeps him on? But they weren't reviewing whether or not he was last man or whether or not it was professional. They were reviewing serious foul play. And you know, I thought Mike Dean had a good game as well. Listen, the beauty of VAR is all Mike Dean has to do is just go to the monitor if he's told. It happens really fast for Mike Dean. It happens very slow and from multiple angles for Stuart Atwell, and that's the damning part of it. With every replay that we were given on the broadcast, it became clear that Sanchez's hand and foot combination that was up high, that was the lunge of a guy who knew he wasn't going to get the ball. That was not a guy who just missed out on the ball by half a second or half a millimeter. That was the lunge of a guy who was prepared to take a yellow or a red card if need be. And he did it in a dangerous way. So by every box that can be ticked in the rule book, that's a red card. It's not a double jeopardy situation. I just cannot believe it. And so that's me done talking about the incident specifically. Like Conroy, I am a VAR advocate. I have not thrown in the towel yet on VAR. I want VAR to work. I want us to find a system that is quick, fluid, consistent, does not interrupt the flow of the game. However, I cannot sit here and tell you that the game is in a better place now than it was a few years ago before VAR. The game is in a worse place now.
No, technically it's not the way it is.
No. Listen, Conroy. It is. VAR does prevent injustices. You're right. You know what I mean? With VAR, Sterling's not offside at the Etihad in 13-14. Who knows what that season would have looked like? I get that. And VAR, I think, genuinely balances out. Some teams think there's agendas against them. I disagree. I think it all evens itself out in the end. But the flow of the game, the consistency of the game, how it feels to both the fans on the sofa like me and the fans in the stadium like Grizz, VAR, I cannot honestly say it's in a better place. I think it's in a slightly worse place. I think it was brought in to eliminate certain discrepancies and subjectivity in the game. I think it's added an extra layer of that. And I'm specifically, I'm specific. Let me finish. I'll let you finish. Specifically, I think this only applies to the English Premier League. I don't really have an issue with the way VAR is interpreted in the Champions League. I don't have an issue with the way it's interpreted in other leagues. Specifically, the English brand of VAR, there's something off about it. There's something not quite right. And again, the only time I've been left pulling my hair out with VAR is in the Premier League. And yes, that's because I feel very strongly about Liverpool. But I haven't really watched a VAR incident really in the Champions League or another league where I'm just like, what the hell has happened here? Like I constantly feel in the dark with the Premier League version of VAR. I want us to find a solution for it. I'm still VAR in, but my patience is waning, to put it simply.
Just while we're on the VAR subject, a couple of super chats that have come in on the VAR subject before we move on to the other ones. Dinesh says VAR should do what they do in the DRS in cricket. If there is no clear evidence, then it stays with the on-field decision. Any comment on that, Conrad?
That's the interpretation of the current rule, right? That's what it is.
Clear
and obvious.
I think the clear and obvious. I think the clear and obvious one needs to be removed.
Yeah. At the start, though, you said we need to make it clear and obvious, and then we'll change. Like, people flip-flop all the time, Grizz. It's about teething issues, and this is what it's going to take. It's going to take a few years to get it perfected, right? But we need to stop referring to other sports as well, because it's its own entity, and there's a reason for this, right? Just a few points on that, right? I've said about the officials. However, though, it's honestly like people don't think about. You say there's no issues with other leagues. There is, but we don't watch the other leagues. We don't have the media of the other leagues and go on about it as often as that. Like, you see it. There is issues in all leagues.
I'll back that up today. The Inter Milan Torino game. It was the most horrendous non-decision for Torino, like in terms of as a penalty. So look, I agree. In fact, I want to move on from VAR. I agree that it's not going anywhere. I agree that there's issues in every league. I also agree that the worst referees are in UK. I think that's something we can all agree on.
Chris, who's the referee with Liverpool? He's one of the top 5 referees during the week, and every Liverpool fan was complaining about him, right? So we keep saying this, but then we'll have a go at that ref as well.
I actually think Mike Dean wasn't good, even though we won, and he gave us the most of the decisions apart from the penalty.
Why do you not think he was good? Why do you not think he was good?
I think he gave us a lot of decisions, Conroy. I thought that's a foul. That's a push. I actually saw incidents where Brighton fans were going mad, and we were like, rightly so. So
I just think people want perfect performances. It's not going to happen.
No. Of course it's not. I agree with you. It's not going to happen. But there was a comment earlier which was brilliant, and I forgot to raise it. We moved on, where he said in a multi-million, possibly billion-dollar industry, the poorest paid or the least importantly paid or given relevance are the referees, when they are the most important, should be key. They should be
also take the most abuse as well, though, and get the less paid for taking the most abuse on the park. That's a fact as well, but no one wants to mention that.
No, you're right. But I think players take a lot of abuse as well.
Not as much as referees. Referees get it more than anyone else.
They also enjoy certain privileges that players and other public figures are not entitled to. I see where you're coming from, though.
How much is a ref on, Ev? A ref's on $100,000 a year, right? There'll not be any player who's on less than that. They're not. The only one who's close to a working class.
I was not.
They get the most abuse.
I was saying privileges as a public figure. Like, obviously they don't have social media, but Mike Dean is a public figure to a certain extent. PGMOL enjoys certain privileges in that way. I don't want to get into that. But my issue with VAR, Jay Rich had a great comment a second ago. He said, I love VAR. I hate the process of VAR. This is how I feel about it. The idea of VAR, I like it. I'm VAR in. I want us to find a solution. Conrad brings up there's going to be teething issues. Of course, I expect them to iron these things out. They're not blind. They're not stupid. They're going to change things they already have from our first year with VAR. There's already been things that have been changed. Right now, the current process of VAR, the English interpretation of VAR by the English FA and PGMOL and English referees, I'm currently not a fan of. It takes too long. There's inconsistencies. We're constantly left in the dark. The TV in the Jumbotron in the stadium will say they're checking for one thing, and then the refs will come out and say after game, no, actually, we were checking for this thing. There's too much enigma surrounding VAR. It needs to be all out in the open. You say maybe it's not appropriate to talk about other sports. I think it's absolutely appropriate to talk about other sports.
No, I said it might not work the same, Evan. It might not work the same.
Of course they're not going to work the same. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the concept of VAR, reviewing something that's already happened, that is a concept we are borrowing from other sports.
No, the comment said like cricket, and I was saying it's not the same as other sports. It's like you have to iron it for your sport, because it's not like in rugby where there's a line. Like there's going to be subjective instances.
Absolutely. Our version of VAR has to be suited to us. I'm not saying let's copy and paste the situation they have in the NFL or the NBA. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. However, there are certain things that those leagues do with their review process that have worked and would work, in my opinion, such as coming out after the game, like even during the game, they will describe, they will have an entire list of word for word what the refs said to each other in a particularly contentious decision, whereas we're left for months thinking about
I agree with that.
What was John Moss saying to Stuart Atwater? What were they actually reviewing? Like, do you remember how long it took to get an official like spokesperson from PGMOL to talk about the Pickford Van Dijk incident? Do you remember how long we were left in the dark after that? If it was a different league like the NBA, like a league that I think does it very efficiently and without much enigma, we would have known 20 minutes after the game what the conversation was, why it fell into such a gray area, why it wasn't reviewed in that way, what they were looking for. We would know instantly. There's too much enigma around it. It doesn't happen quick enough. That's all.
Evan, I was meaning the physical action. See that, like you said before, I agreed with you before about the refs coming out, and like I agree with all that, like the statements, I agree with all that. I think that's more a process thing. I mean more like the physical act of how certain places do it. And what I mean by that is like, see how everyone's obsessed with saying mic them up. I'd love to have the refs mic'd up, but I'm telling you right now, the refs wouldn't be the biggest problem with getting them mic'd up. It would be the footballers who cannot control. Who is it? David Ellery done it a couple of ref in the 90s, tried it, and it was got dogs abuse. So listen, I'd all do that, but you'd have to find players on the spot because a lot of them wouldn't be able to control their mouth, because that's the truth of it. So I think that's the reason they don't make them up, to be honest. I'd be up for making them up, absolutely. I just think that's the reason it won't happen.
I think that's a culture and societal problem as well, then, isn't it?
It's a respect problem as well in football.
Respect problem, exactly. Maybe that needs to be looked at, and it would help the product.
You do get punished for mouthing off to the ref. We see players sent off for talking to the refs every year. I mean,
not as much as they should, though. They don't use their discretion well enough.
To be fair, we don't know what's being said exactly, but to be honest, I can remember 5 times already this season a ref's walking away and then turns around and we don't know what happened, and a yellow card goes up, and then we hear it's for dissent. So there already are punishments in place for it. You could ask a rich footballer who's you've highlighted as so well played or well paid, what means more to them, getting a £20,000 fine from the Premier League or getting their second yellow for dissent? You know what I mean? They care about what's happening on the field.
You're right. It is the referee's discretion. I just don't think they do it enough. Like a referee could technically send someone off if they wanted to, but they won't. We must
move on. We must move on. Yafu, brother of Cafu. I like this idea, guys. I think this is innovative. I know some of you may not be fans of innovation. Do you think teams should get one VAR challenge? I'm just saying, man. I'm just putting it out there. I like it because sometimes, I'll tell you why, Evan. I'm thinking this. Again, it goes back to the this theory and where we say, if the ref had played the game, he'd know that's either a foul or that's not a foul in certain situations. Now, if there was an incident and the team knew that they've been either hard done by thinking that's not a penalty, once he sees that on VAR, he'll know that I've been taken for a ride. So when there's a dive, I think you should have one VAR challenge where the captain just says, throw, like in American football, you throw that flag on the thing and you say,
yeah.
What's it called? What's it called?
No, flag on the field. Yeah. So listen.
VAR.
Yeah.
So what do you mean, like to challenge a decision?
Yeah, so you can, the coach of a team can initiate a VAR call. So if VAR doesn't get involved, Klopp in theory could demand VAR to get involved. Now, listen, although I just got done saying we should borrow things from other leagues, I'm now taking Conroy's point about it has to be catered to us. And this is one of the things that I think we shouldn't bring over from the American review system. I think we all have an issue with how long VAR takes in certain situations. Football is all about flow. It's all about momentum. What I love about football is the fact that the opposition coach can't just call a timeout when he feels the momentum slipping away from it. You have to manage yourself through the game. I don't want things that stop the game more often. What they absolutely should do, I see the chat talking about mics. during a VAR check, for me, the easiest way to solve most people's woes with VAR, there needs to be a mic attached to the booth that the referee, the monitor, and just like in the NFL, for those of you who are familiar, after they review something, the ref will speak into the mic and say 10-yard penalty, defense, yada yada yada. This is what happened, number 23 on number 7. That would eliminate so much confusion and so much frustration that people have with VAR. It's a simple thing. It would cost $50 per booth. I'd be happy to do it for them. I have some history with audio engineering. And yeah, but listen, for me, that would be that's another thing I think we should take over. But no, Grizz, short answer, I am not pro. Let's let coaches challenge whatever they want.
Sims with you, he says it wouldn't work. VAR would end up getting it wrong anyway.
We'd still arrive at the same problems. So yeah.
Pixelated Pigeon, haven't heard from him in a while.
New color. He's usually blue.
Well, he's changed because
changed it when you were away, Evan. Yeah.
So much Pixelated Pigeon. This is crazy. I'm so
things change, Evan. Things change.
Yeah.
Get with the times, man. Come on. It would be nice. It would add to the game, but if done well, it might help with the biggest injustices. And we often speak about how many decisions affect clubs in terms of relegation, promotion, and Champions Leagues. But I think, look, we'll end up on this. We'll never. I think this is the comment that really got to my mind, got to me, and I wanted to bring it up. He said, Avik says, look, there will never be a technological solution for subjective decisions. Only thing needed is consistency. And he's right. We're never going to get sort of, in terms of these kind of decisions. I missed the super chat from Nerdbeats. Big up Nerdbeats, man. Our threat from set pieces is what makes us top now. We look a threat again. And Conroy, we often speak about how it's beautiful to see us being a threat in the opposition box. And I've always said it again, when we've got that axis of 6-footers down the spine, Henderson, Fabinho, our 2 centre-backs, and Bobby's 6 foot plus as well when he's playing. We need them in the box. Sadio Mane and Jota are great in the air. We need to be a threat. It's so vital, isn't it? In terms of when things are not going wrong, how often have we spoken about it?
No, absolutely. And I think as well, I think there was 3 games in a row we took the lead or got an important goal in that game for a set piece. So it's vitally important. Most top teams in the world have got either an expert set piece taker and at least attacking centre backs or players who can save a game really or get you a lead in a game, which is very important. So I think it's no doubt that's very a coincidence. It's a good coincidence why as well that we've started to see more games be comfortable recently, or we had a phase of play where it was like tighter games. So I think that definitely helps. What I would also add as well that I don't know if you, Evan, and you both, Grizz, you agree as well that. Do you remember, was it last season, the season before, we had like close to the most set pieces, and I actually thought we weren't very good at set pieces like we used to. I know we've had spells this season, but there's at least been matches where we've looked quite on it. And always, it's an area that, again, we spoke about earlier, the set piece coach, the throw-in coach. These small adjustments or adjustments to the team that can give you that small percentage advantage are huge. As I say, it's a multi-million-pound industry. So one salary or one agency to come for a few times a month, huge, or a few times a week, huge. It's massive for the team.
Hold that, Evan.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
I love our chat. I love when the chat corrects our wrongs.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
Do you think we could send this video to PGMOL and say, listen, give us it for a week, we'll sort it out?
Yeah, I've already volunteered to address their microphone to the VAR booth situation.
We've got a more balanced panel, mate. We'd get it sorted in a week. Yeah. It'd be like, that's fine, do that.
Hassan asks the question and answers it himself as well. Thoughts on the Arsenal games? I know you're going to do a preview before it. I think it's going to be a fascinating tie and could even be more decisive if City drop points tomorrow.
But he knows you're doing a preview, Grizz, so he knows you can't give too much away, Hassan. So
and we're not going to give we're not going to give too much away. But Hassan politely asks good questions, so it was only fair that I brought it up.
Of course.
Palace tomorrow. I don't give them a chance. I'm going to be honest.
I think you should do a watch along, Grizz, because every time you do a watch along and support City, and I'll do it as well. The team we want to win lose, so we want Man City to win tomorrow night and they'll lose.
I don't think there's a chance, man. I genuinely
Michael Ollie stepping up 30-yard screamer, 1-0.
I love Michael Elise. Oh wow, he's such a good player. I just don't. I mean, people are throwing up the eagle emojis everywhere. You know.
You guys, speaking of like jinxing things, like Conroy said, you know what's going to happen is I'm going to be like Grizz. I'm not going to back Palace, so I'm going to choose not to force myself to watch the game. Then I'm just going to check the score. I'll see it's 0-0 on like the 65th minute. I'll turn the TV on. I'll turn the TV on, and Phil Foden will score
straight away. Honestly, mate, that's happened to me so many times. It's unbelievable.
The amount of times that happened to me in 18-19, I'd be like, ooh, you know, 0-0 at Turf Moor in the 56th minute. Turn it on. Sergio Aguero scores the tap in, and then I'm just...
Leicester company. Oh, they're going to do it. I'm like, are you having a fucking laugh? He's just scored that. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Prince Teddy says that the watch-alongs need to be back. You know, our record. We're the
not with me.
We're the people's channel, man. And the people said we're bad omens. Well, I'm bad omen.
No, I'm the bad omen. You've been fine, guys. It's me. Every time it's me. So.
Oh, is it you? Okay.
It's me.
So that's why you want to do the Crystal Palace Man City one.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, now fuck it, man. You're gonna fucking reverse the curse.
Yeah, probably.
You'll manage to reverse.
Are you gonna watch the game, Grizz, or are you gonna bother?
Nah.
It's like watching paint dry with it, isn't it? It's just for us anyway.
I very rarely watch Man City play. Very rarely. I don't know what is it down to? I don't know.
For me it's the emotional scarring of watching them play all the time in 18-19 and not having really anything change. You know, what did they do? They won 15 games in a row or something like that and beat us to the title. So I mean, it's tough to go through that.
Pretty much, you nailed it. That's the reason. You're right. I agree with you.
And they don't give you a chance, really, do they? Like, you have to be, your game plan has to be amazing to get a chance. Whereas I think United in the past, when they were winning, even Arsenal, teams could score against them at times. I think, obviously, they can, but City, see when their game plan works so well, they just control the game. And I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. People say, like, they don't enjoy watching it. I don't enjoy watching it, but you can't, discredit it because they don't give a team a chance. It's like, what, they meant to just give them the ball? Yes.
JN says, am I going to London for the game? I sure am. So we don't know which part of the team is going to do the post-match, but I'm not going to be here. So we'll discuss that afterwards. These guys are going to have to hold the fort. Sim says, we want City to win. So when we play them, we beat them to go top. So that means they'll lose tomorrow. Booze, we're supporting them. 3D chess by Conroy. 3D chess, eh?
Listen, mate, I try, but we'll see. Imagine if, honestly, see if Palace can get a goal. That's the one situation City, right? Sometimes don't, when they get a little,
when they go behind.
What's happening here? That's the one thing.
You're spot on, Conroy. You're actually spot on, because that is the time where they have wobblies, where they go behind. They haven't got that mentality of we have, in terms of fuck it, if we go behind, we'll still win. That's the one time where they tend to not panic, but not rush their normal patient game.
Yeah.
Slightly. So, look, it is what it is, man.
Vieira's going to be interesting, though. Vieira and Gallagher, I think it'd be interesting to see how Vieira goes about it. And Gallagher, I mean, what a player he is. He's just been outstanding.
He could be annoying little fuck for Rodri, like just buzz around Rodri and just, you know, that's... look,
did you see his goal against Watford last week, Grizz, when he took it on the ball in there, took it in the first touch? Like, the kid's got talent. Hopefully, he can do something.
Zaha's got to be on top, the passion of the crowd. It's got to be one of those, they've got to create an atmosphere.
Some stadium, some
like they create for us. I just feel that other teams don't create that passion for other teams because they're not Liverpool. And that's some of the things that we have to deal with because we're such a huge fucking...
But what about Vieira, though, Grizz? I think Vieira wants the showman City.
Really?
I should be considered for this job in the future. You never know. I think there's maybe more relations there in the past than when it was a Hodgson, for example.
But also he'd prefer City winning the title to Liverpool. I'll tell you that for a fact. And free.
Yeah, but I think ego comes in at a certain point. The managers, we'll see. Yeah. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
Yep. No beats. If you send me a super chat for about 70. No, I'm joking. I haven't got a spare at the moment. If I have got a spare, I'll hit you up, bro. I'll hit you up. I haven't got a spare.
How are you feeling, Grizz? Because I know we're not spending too much time on this. I know you get nervous for this game more than a lot of games. Like, you hate playing Arsenal to a certain extent. Like,
again, it's the London thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Chelsea, but it's not to the extent of Chelsea. It's not. And I've got a lot of time for Arteta and Arsenal as a club. I love Wenger. So it's not the hatred, but the tension for sure is very much there. And they're playing really well. They're playing really, really good. I'm not going to give a prediction yet. We wait for the pre-match, and then you guys.
It was good to win today, though. It was good to win today, I thought, because it meant that they're above United, which is important. And now we can just batter them, and it's fine. We'll still be above United.
People are saying, Grizz, we're going to win the league, mate. Chill. I'm chilled, man.
Diogo with a hat-trick on Wednesday. No bother. Easy.
I'm chilled, mate. But listen, this has been the Redfellas podcast. I think we've covered more than enough. I think we made up for Evan's missed couple of weeks and sort of utilized his brain and insight enough. We've tired the guy out, man. Come on, he's had a few weeks. We've thrown him at the deep end straight away. We didn't even give him 20, 30 minutes on a pre-match or something, whatever. We just went Redfellas Sunday night. Get in there for the main show and
be there or be square.
Yeah, Grizz, you talk so much about your good man management of the panel, but you haven't managed my minutes at all tonight. You really just throw me in there.
I gambled. I gambled. I thought, yeah, man, Evan's gonna come in with but I think it was a bit forced upon me today because of the injuries to Keith and Navi.
Injuries to Abby. Abby has one of those sketchy back injuries.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Abby just has one of these. It's just some man. I don't even want to see the voice messages Abby's left when we've been on the stream.
When he checks out what we've been speaking about, and his lack of insight, I should say. But listen, guys, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Before we go, let me bring up. Don't forget who are our sponsors. www.eliteme.com. Go check them out. Go try their products. Fantastic products for you. Type in LFC15, get 15% discount. What more do you want? Go check them out. Guys, anything to add before we wrap up from you two?
I'm happy that the chat missed me while I was gone. It made me feel good. I love you guys.
They did, mate. You're the man. As soon as you came back, they're like, Evan's back. And they don't call you the Yank anymore, which I think is...
Yeah, I've graduated, guy. I'm moving up the ladder a bit. It feels good.
Oh, deserve that, mate.
Yeah. So listen, guys, watch out for the pre-match tomorrow or the day after, probably Tuesday. And then some team, we don't know the formation, we don't know the players, but we'll have a post-match reaction for you guys sorted. Hopefully we keep this potential amazing, humongous season going. Until we can't say the quadruple is on, we will continue to speak about the quadruple. And then we'll call it the treble. And then we'll call it the double. And then we'll call it whatever the fuck we want. Because that's how we roll.
And then we'll say we're doing the Premier League draft tonight and there'll be no post-match shows.
Don't go there, Conway. Don't go there, Conway. But listen, we move on. We may be interested in tomorrow's game, but for sure we're interested in Wednesday's game. Arsenal awaits us at London. I'm going to be going to the game. Let's hope we keep this positive, good thing rolling. We're rolling, boys. We're rolling. We're into the final 15, 16 games in all competitions, right? This is it, man. This is it. Keep up the positivity. Keep up the energy. Thank you for supporting us tonight. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed all of your company. I've enjoyed all the chat's company. See you next week for the Redfellas, but we'll see you for the other shows during the midweek. Over and out. Take care.